Hey, how's it going? Sunny Chris here, your lender in sneakers, back at it again with another episode of Keeping Sane Saturday. I have a very special guest today, straight out of Honolulu, Hawaii, Oahu. Super excited to have this conversation. Believe it or not, this is the first time that I've been speaking with her, and honestly, I feel like I'm just talking to the homegirl here. So I have actually Coach Taki with me with TakiFit. How's your day going so far?
It's going great. Thank you for having me. Excited.
Yeah, thank you so much just for obviously being here. I'm super excited just to have this conversation and excited to see what we create for the people. So can you explain to everyone kind of what Taki Fit is and what you do?
Yeah, so TakiFit is a basketball training program that I started about 4 years ago. And we train athletes anywhere from 4 years old to college, post-college. And we just teach them and develop their basketball skills. And in the program, it's kind of our emphasis to develop self-confidence, self-awareness, and just teaching them these life skills through the lens of basketball.
Nice, nice, nice. So how did you find the marriage between the two? Obviously, you know, teaching basketball skills and then incorporating self-confidence.
Well, for sports, especially, you're always faced with these different contrasts, right? When you're dealt with a challenge, like maybe you're not succeeding in a competition setting, and you can tell by how people react to those contrast situations. Sometimes people get really down on themselves,
Mhm.
like they missed a shot or they messed up, and their whole demeanor goes down. Where you can just see their confidence kind of sink. Where all of a sudden their head's not even in the game anymore, and you can just tell their thoughts are on that moment of when they messed up. And so there's that. Or sometimes you'll see kids, or not even kids, but athletes, right? You can tell that they're like nervous to go in the game, like they're very anxious because they're, at least for me, my personal experience, you're like worried about messing up, or upsetting your coaches, or maybe like, oh, my teammates are gonna like me if I do this. And it's really it's just, so sports setting, it just provides an environment, I feel like, for people to experience, again, different situations, and it's causing you to have a reaction, and then again that kind of triggers how you decide to respond emotionally and your physical action thereafter.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. It's kind of funny. It's like a lot of like success quotes come from people of sports, like what are coaches or players
Hmm.
themselves. And just to touch base, like, can you share with people like how long you've been enveloped in the basketball culture and your experience with it?
Basketball has always been a part of my life since I was really young. I just always had an interest for it. So like since I was like 3 years old, my mom had like old videotapes of me like dribbling the ball and stuff. So
Nice.
yeah, like I'd watch basketball games with my dad growing up all the time, and I'd go outside right after the games and try to like imitate what I saw on TV. So I mean, I've always played basketball my whole life, all the way up until high school. So I started all 4 years as point guard on my varsity team. And then, kind of long story short, after high school, when my senior year came around, I was extremely burnt out. I just didn't have the passion to pursue collegiate basketball at that level. Even though my coaches at the time thought I could play, I just, at that moment in time, I knew my heart wasn't in it to dedicate myself to, a level that high where pretty much your entire day is evolved around basketball, right? So
Yeah.
I personally took that decision to not play for those 4 years when I went to San Diego State.
Mhm.
And yeah, it wasn't until actually after college that basketball came back into my life. And um, I met Jose, who is actually one of my lead trainers in Taki Fit now, who brought basketball back into my life. He kind of showed me how fun it was again. And so when that came, again, I decided to pursue it more, and that's how Taki Fit kind of came back in, or actually developed.
Oh yeah, definitely. So would you
Yeah.
say that your experience with, being in basketball, being a part of team sports and kind of perfecting your craft, because obviously, I mean, to be even at the collegiate level or even your coaches think, that you have the skills to do it. do you think a lot of your life lessons and how you handle pressure come from being, part of that culture, being part of basketball?
That's a good question. Um, hmm. I would say it definitely, put me in experiences of, again, having to kind of navigate yourself through like a team setting, right?
Mhm.
So dealing, or not dealing, but working with others, accomplishing the same goal, and then kind of dealing with the outside pressure of, you wanting to win and whatnot. And so when I look back at it, um, I had a lot of self pressure on myself. Like I dealt a lot with low confidence and self doubt a lot of the time
Uh,
for whatever reason. Too, I can't even really put my finger on it, but I knew that was always something that I struggled with all the way up until like COVID, really. Because once COVID came, I was able to take more time for myself and start reflecting and doing a lot of work
Definitely.
within myself to kind of discover ways of understanding myself, and that
Yeah.
kind of helped me gain confidence. But yeah, in at least my experience with basketball growing up, now that I reflect on it, I always had this limiting factor of just kind of doubting myself. And I
Right.
think that may have contributed to me also not pursuing the college level, even though my coaches wanted me to, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
In my mind, I was like, I just kind of doubted that I would be able to handle all the college work, that comes with, being in college,
Mhm.
along with all the basketball like dedication that you need to do as
Yeah.
well. Like it just, in my mind, I was like, I don't think I can do that. And so I didn't at the time.
Yeah. Well, like we were saying earlier, right? Like things happen for a reason, and now
Hmm.
you're really at a good position where you're essentially not only just teaching people, the skill sets to succeed in basketball, but also to succeed in life. So, and
Yeah.
that's great that you find, with TakiFit being able to do that. So, I mean, with that being said, with TakiFit, what do you like best about what you do?
What I love best about what I do is, well, there's a bunch of different aspects. I'm really grateful that I do have this platform where I can share my stories. That's something that I'm really passionate about, is because I feel like my life experiences, um, if I share them with others, they might be able to relate to them and, find inspiration, or just an outlet for them to help make their own life decisions. Like I said, I dealt with self-confidence issues, self-doubt this whole time. And so just being able to share what has helped me along my journey,
Mhm.
I hope to inspire others. And then when I actually get to work with athletes, I find a lot of joy just being able to be a mentor, and again, just helping athletes develop confidence within themselves. Because again, that's something that I always lacked growing up.
Mhm.
And so, when a kid comes into our training program, it's great to see them progress on all levels, like social levels, and just even confidence within their own skill work.
Mhm.
Because sometimes we get kids that come in and they're so shy and scared that like sometimes they don't even participate in the first training because they're just so scared, like they're just crying to their parents. And then just seeing them develop as they mature too. So like maybe the next time they come in, now they're in the huddle, and then okay, now they participate in the whole training. Okay, now they're speaking up when we have a huddle and they're not scared. So it's just these little steps,
Yeah.
helping them develop and get these social skills that are so, I feel like important to have as you go through life.
No, it's crazy. I mean, I've definitely been a part of, different team sports growing up. Nothing ever like close to obviously your level, almost being, at the collegiate level. But I agree with you 100%. I mean, life is all about relationships, and especially
Hmm.
being under the gun and under pressure in a team sport where obviously at the end of the day, your goal is to win. You're going to have to
Hmm.
find how to, deal with your team or work with your team to find a way to win. And a lot of that,
Mm-hmm.
it sounds simple, it sounds easy, but there's a lot of dynamics with, team culture and just people dealing, one-on-one with each other. So I definitely do agree with you that, team sports can teach people, life lessons, and kind of
Mm-hmm.
brings us to this conversation here, and why I'm super excited to have you on this part of this conversation of Keeping Sane Saturdays, where we basically tackle, helping people maintain their peace in times of uncertainty, especially with, the
Mm-hmm.
pandemic happening and current events. To have someone else, that's just as passionate about trying to give back to others and sharing their own experiences so that they can also maintain their peace is why I'm, pretty excited to have you part of this conversation. And speaking of the coronavirus, how has that experience been going for you?
For me, it's been a great opportunity for me to get back to myself.
Mm-hmm.
I've been working like really hard and diligently with TakiFit for like the past 4 years, where kind of prior to COVID, maybe like a few months before COVID, I was becoming burnt out again from that, just because I mean, I'd be training. All I would do pretty much every day was something for TakiFit. And so I was definitely feeling overwhelmed and getting stressed over, again, just at that time, thinking so far out in the future, being very
Mm-hmm.
anxious about what do I need to do next? What should I be planning? Okay, what do I need to do for this? That it just grew into this overwhelming,
Wait.
yeah. And so when that happened, that's right when like COVID broke out though too. And so it really gave me the chance to finally have time for myself, and
Right.
it's been an awesome experience for me. Like, I've just been able to recover. I've been able to actually explore different avenues that contribute to your well-being and just helping you feel better. And for me personally, experiencing it, I've been working on just meditation, mindfulness, different ways to really just understand yourself through understanding the relationships of your thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding how powerful your focus can really be in determining the quality of life and your well-being.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really made a huge impact on my life, just feeling better throughout your days, feeling happier.
Yeah.
And so with me experiencing this, I'm learning ways that how I can incorporate it into my program, which is something, again, that I'm passionate about, of just, again, sharing these outlets of ways for people to, again, just live a happier, more fulfilling life. And again, it's through the lens of basketball. So it will help, it helps athletes on the court, because it helps them, again, stay present in the moment, not get too down on, let's say, like a mistake they made in the past,
Mm-hmm.
or they're not too anxious about worrying about what they're going to do next, but it helps them just stay present. And yeah, again, if it helps you on the court, it's going to help
Yeah.
you off the court. Yeah.
So essentially, like the pandemic, coronavirus was like a blessing in disguise for you. No.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I feel like there is always opportunities in every situation if you are willing to look in that direction too.
So now that you kind of brought that up, I mean, because that's a very, very specific perspective to have, that no matter
Hmm.
what the situation is, whether good or bad, there's always an opportunity. Where do you think that came from for you?
Um, I've sort of always naturally kind of gravitated towards seeing the positive in every situation.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I mean, it's just always sort of happened in my life. Like with my injury that I had, with my knee injury, I was never down upon myself. I was actually excited for it. So I was like, because yeah, like at the time, I was thinking of becoming a physical therapist. So when I had my injury, I was like, oh, I get to go through the rehab process. Like, I'll be able to relate to athletes now. If they got injured, I'll know
Yeah,
the
yeah.
whole process. And at that time too, I understood what caused my injury. It was me having faulty mechanics. So I just figured, oh, well, now I get to start at ground zero. I can fix, you know, my mechanics now. And so I always,
Like
for
no,
whatever reason, just kind of
nobody ever
gravitated.
modeled that attitude for you, like to have, you know, a positive mindset.
And no, not really. Not really. Again, I kind of gravitated towards that. And then now that I've had more time to like reflect, and you know, I've sort of learned from others too. Again, every situation has two outcomes. Like if you pick up a stick, there's always like a negative side, there's a positive side, and there's stuff that falls in between. So it's
Yeah.
like every time you pick a stick up, or every time a situation comes to you, you really have a chance to choose where you want to go with it. It just depends on what perspective you want to focus on.
That reminds me of one quote that I used to get back in my sales training, or just being immersed into like what do you call it, like motivational books or whatever. It was like what you focus on grows, right? And I think
Yeah, right.
what you just said right there, just picking up a stick, there's always two ends of the stick. It's either going to be positive or negative. That life is essentially the same exact thing. Like you have a choice here. You know, you're living this life, and you can live your life of one or two, basically like binary, right? You can either live
Right.
life in a very negative light or a very positive life. You have that choice every single day. And I think when
Right.
people start to realize that, they'll definitely, I mean, you know, I don't want to make any, you know, guarantees, but I think they'll definitely be more happy, you know, living their life in that positive way if they choose to, and they know that they choose to.
Right.
So, you know, kind of going back to the coronavirus, what was that your first? I mean, although, you know, it was a blessing in disguise for you, was that your first initial impression of it?
Um, for yeah, actually, it was because for me, I just felt like, um, again, looking within myself, this is a great opportunity,
Uh,
again, for me to take care of myself.
got
And
it.
then just thinking also for others, though, too, now that you kind of have more time to yourself, you know, you're kind of forced to be with yourself almost, or, you know, if you have a family, with your family. And it's sort of giving you the time to reflect on, again, your life, what we're typically wrapped up in our daily lives is now sort of taken away out of the picture. So it's like,
Yeah.
well, what do you focus on
Mm,
now, right? And
yeah.
so for me, it was, again, just me, and I, you know, figuring out, well, what is really like important to you, and what makes, you know, your life fun and fulfilling and happy. Because I feel like, you know, that's everyone's ultimate goal in life, is to be happy. Like,
Mm,
what else do we live for? Right? Like, what else do you want to feel? I feel like everybody, goal is to be happy. And so
yeah.
when all these external factors that we get wrapped up in our daily lives get taken away,
Mhm.
again, you're kind of forced to face yourself and kind of ask yourself these questions.
I think what you're getting at is definitely really important, and obviously for a lot of people out there, we can get so stuck in just living the rat race, right? Working Monday to Friday, going to school 9 to 5, always on the grind, and feeling the burnout. I do feel like there is having that time for self-reflection, no matter when you do it, whether it's quarterly, weekly, daily. I do feel like it's really important, just like you were saying, because if you can't even just stop and think, you're gonna miss out to find the opportunity where to figure out, you know, for yourself what actually makes you happy. You know what I mean? So that's great that you saw the opportunity here with, you know, the coronavirus to have that moment of reflection for you, and hopefully, you know, that's bringing you even more energy to give back to TakiFit and continue on your purpose. So
Yeah.
if you don't mind me asking, like, was there any particular moment during the pandemic where it was like, damn, this issue is real, like the coronavirus is real? Did you ever have that moment?
I mean, it's always been real, right? It was always there. I guess where it really affected my normal daily life of, you know, my regular routine was when the school shut down that I train out of. So my program couldn't run like it typically would. How many days? Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. 4 days a week. You know, so that was like a majority of my days, because it would be, you know, prepping for my classes and going to the classes, and then, you know, basically on repeat all the time. So, you know, when that gets taken away, it's just your routine changes. And
Yeah.
so I guess that is when I guess it became more real. I mean, like everything in Hawaii shut down also, like
Uh-huh.
pretty much just the grocery stores were open, and, you know, what else, like hospitals, but the parks too. But I don't know, to me it was, again, I was just so focused on me and doing what I needed to do for myself, and really like going within, and just so focused on me that it really didn't have at least a negative effect on me, because I was so focused on the opportunity that I had to grow within myself, that like every day I was like, oh, I get to work on myself, and like this is getting exciting. Like I'm getting like, you know, I'm learning
Yeah.
more and more about myself, that
Uh,
again, that's just where I put my energy and focus in.
yeah.
So
I
yeah.
think what really got me, I share all the time in these conversations. Like I remember the exact date. I remember exactly why that it got real, and it was because 24-hour fitness shut down March 16th. You
Oh,
can check their Instagram. That's when like they kind of gave like the global order that all 24-hour fitnesses are closed. And for me, that was a big portion, because I'd love to just like, you know, obviously have some type of routine on a daily basis. I was
oh
going to
yeah,
the gym. So once you took that away from me, I was like,
right. Me
what I
too.
got to do. So next day, like me and my wife ended up going to Walmart, getting some weights and everything like that. So that's when it got real.
Yeah,
Sounds very selfish, but that's when it got real for me. So
yeah.
personally and professionally for you, like how did the transition go for you from like, you know, obviously your normal day life pre-COVID to during COVID? How did that transition go?
The transition. Well, at first, you know, I just really took the time to recover for myself. Like I said, I was pretty burnt out with
Mhm.
work right before COVID broke out. So once it did, I just took it as time to relax. Like,
Mhm.
I kind of took it as my vacation. Like, I was sleeping in, I was just kind of taking my time through my day. I started meditating more, and that brings like a lot of peace. And so I wasn't really like in a rush to, you know, start something back up right away for my business.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because, you know, honestly, like if you're not taking care of yourself, you have nothing to give, right? And
Mhm.
so for me, I knew that I needed to take care of myself before
Mhm.
I can like have purpose of whatever it is that I bring to TakiFit, of, you know, what do I have to do next now for it.
You got to
And
fill your
so
own cup before you can fill others' cups as well.
exactly, right. So I just took my time for maybe the first month, maybe,
Damn,
of
that's like
just
a big
yeah,
vacation, yo.
yeah, I deserved it. So, so I was just, yeah, again, finding myself. But, you know, with that, I had a lot of time to reflect and sort of gain inspiration. I wasn't trying to force action, because I would always do that prior to COVID. Just,
Mhm.
okay, we need to do this. Okay, this seems good. Just do it. And so I was always action. And so during COVID, since I had time to sit back and just be, more inspiration just came to me. And when you start acting out of inspiration, you know, things just flow a lot easier, and it doesn't feel like hard work.
Yeah.
And so that's when I decided to, okay, now I have my format of what I want to teach on my Zoom classes. Like, this is what was inspired during the time that I had to reflect. And so I put that out there, and yeah, now I have Zoom classes going on, and yeah, that's been great. I've been able to actually connect with like followers in the mainland and even different countries. Like I'm working with athletes from Indonesia right now.
Nice.
So it's been again a great opportunity now for me to just reach athletes that I typically wouldn't see if I'm doing my normal, routine of training athletes here, because I just don't have the time. So it's been
Yeah.
a great way to connect with others.
How has the response been for using the Zoom conference calls to conduct your classes?
It's been, I've enjoyed it, honestly. It helps you to always develop and adapt, right? It's a different environment. You're not right there with them. So I feel like it helps you become, again, a better teacher, because now you have to figure out ways of how to effectively instruct using just your words, or, just purely visualization and breaking it down, because you're not there to actually, physically give them cues or whatnot. So again, if you're just willing to adapt to the situation and always willing to see, okay, the positive of what can I do, then typically you can make something work out of it.
No, I agree with you 100%. Like,
Yeah.
for my industry, and then for a lot of realtors out there, like the lead generating for us was open houses. And then obviously once the coronavirus hit, the pandemic hit, they took away the open houses and we couldn't meet, customers in person anymore. So
Right.
like you were saying, like for any situation, like there's a positive and a negative that we can focus on. So a lot of people and a lot of my peers, and also including myself, we did gravitate towards, okay, what exactly can we do right now to still be of service to people that are looking to buy or to sell homes? Some realtors ended up doing, virtual open houses, relying more on this technology to do, 3D tours. And I started just obviously, trying to get connected with people and service them through Zoom conference call, which I think Zoom is amazing. Hopefully they get their encryption security down packed so there's no more Zoom bombing anymore. But
Yeah.
but you're right. You're absolutely right. You got to focus on what you can do and then get better at it, even if you're not good at that right now. So you got to be willing to adapt.
Right.
So I mean, obviously, like I think you have a huge slew of just different ways to cope. You've brought up meditation, rest, reflecting, and working when you're learning when to work when you're inspired and not inspired. Like, what would you say, like, in times of unrest, uncertainty, when there's a lot of pressure on you, what is that one thing that you go to maintain your peace and to maintain your sanity?
Well, I feel like there's a lot of factors that go into your well-being. Everything is connected, right? What you put inside your body, right? What do you think about, right? What are you, your physical body doing? Are you just laying around? Are you moving? So all those aspects do go into your well-being, and translates into how do you feel every day. For me, though, what I found extremely helpful was, just the meditation and understanding your mind. To me, your mind is what runs everything else, right? Your body follows depending on what your mind says and tells it to do. So when you don't have when you don't have much control over your mind, meaning you kind of let your thoughts dictate how you respond and how you act. You typically are what you think then. So if you're having a lot of negative emotions throughout your day, like you're stressed, you're irritated, you're frustrated, sad, depressed, right? Any of those negative emotions, it's again a reflection of what's going on in your mind. And again, what you intake also has an effect on how you feel, your rest time too. But from what I've discovered is your mind is extremely powerful. And when you can understand your thoughts, when you have a good relationship with them, meaning like, let's say you do encounter a negative emotion, when you're able to actually kind of evaluate it more and understand why you are experiencing this, and being honest with yourself, which a lot of the times people aren't. Like, I was never one to be open with my emotions, or take time to understand them. You know, growing up, most of the time when something negative happened to me, I would just sweep it under the rug and try to do something to make me feel better right away, because you just want to naturally feel better right away.
Yeah.
But when you do that, you never resolve the problem. So when every time that similar situation comes up, you just typically have the same reaction, because that's what you're comfortable reacting to. And then it's just a repeat cycle. Okay, well, I'm gonna shove it under the rug. Here it comes again, boom, and you do it again. And so what I've discovered is that, for me at least, when you actually face what is causing you to feel like this and you're real about it, like, you let yourself experience those emotions, you try to understand why you're experiencing it, and then change the outcome of, well, how does this work towards me? Again, looking towards what is the growing opportunity from this? Like, why am I experiencing this? How does it help me? And then you change that perspective. And so now, instead of a negative one, every time this situation pops up, you're having this positive one, because you've kind of resolved the issue by finding appreciation within it.
Yeah.
And then again, it just changes your thought pattern now. So when whatever the trigger is that causes you to have this negative emotion, instead of you going negative, you go towards what you resolve. Yeah.
So where did that skill set come in for you? You know, meditation and having a great relationship with your thoughts. Where did you pick that up from?
That's a long story. No, I picked it up during COVID, though, because for me, and I feel as though it's probably common for most people. For me, I didn't start actually paying attention to my emotions and what's causing me to have this reaction until I experienced an event where you can't control your emotions. Like, it's just very significant that you are going through this moment. So for me, it was, it was a few things. One was, it kind of was like boom, boom, boom. Like, I had a significant like breakup that I've never like felt so heartbroken over before, like ever. And so it was significant, though, because like I felt hurt, you know, I was sad, and it was just like, what the heck is this? Like, I've never experienced this before. And so when that happened, though, again, I just feel like, because it's so out of the ordinary, it made me stop and really reflect, like, why am I feeling like this? Like, why am I experiencing this, something that I've never experienced before? And so that's when I started to journal it out. And you know, through journaling, it's kind of led me to again, on this path of understanding emotions more. And you know, emotions can be also interpreted as, you know, kind of like your spirit or your soul, some people say. And so I started to just explore more within these areas of emotions and understanding how it relates to your mind. And so with doing so, it led me to meditation, and just hearing from others how meditation can help quiet your mind, because we have so many thoughts throughout our day, right? Like, we're constantly interacting with others. When we're driving, you're always processing information. And so
sometimes too much information.
Right. And, you know, you're always on your phone, and a lot of the times, what I noticed too personally is you're never in the present moment. Most people are not in the present moment. Like, for instance, if you're driving somewhere, you're probably thinking of, okay, what do I have to do when I get there? Okay, who am I going to talk to? Okay, what am I going to say when I see so-and-so? What am I going to eat for lunch? You know, like, it's not what are you doing right now, and just experiencing that moment. And so you know, I've always heard that from like athletes, you know, being in the moment and all this. And it's like, you don't really understand it until you start experiencing it. And for me, meditation, well, for everybody, like, meditation helps you become aware of the present moment, just because, again, you're quieting your mind so you're not processing so much. And truly in tune with what's going on right then and there, which is you still in an environment, taking it in and just being self-aware of your body, how you feel. And yeah, and so since I've been doing that though, it's just, my days are a lot more smoother. Like you're just grounded, you're in the moment, you're not feeling rushed or chasing your day because you are just present. And yeah, that's the best way I can explain it.
That's super dope. I mean, I think I can relate with you 100%. Like a lot of people say that I like to wear my emotions on my sleeve. Like a lot of my friends say that about me, and it's very hard for me not to, it's very hard for people not to tell if I'm happy or, angry or feeling some type of negative emotions, which I gotta definitely work on my poker face. So I probably lose a game of poker every single time if I played, but I don't play. Yeah, I think you said one important thing, and that was like the ability to experience your emotions, right? You can, I think a lot of people, depending on whatever experience that they're going through, they can be in a state of denial and not really truly experience those emotions.
Right.
And you're missing out on a big learning opportunity. I've been through, I've been through bad breakups, bad relationships with, well, not necessarily with my parents, but more so just me being, a hard-headed kid. And those experiences definitely do shape you. And I don't think those are experiences that are made for people to, weigh themselves down, but to grow from, just
Exactly.
back once again, like life is just like that stick you were talking about, picking up a stick. You can focus on the negative or focus on the positive, but yeah, that's awesome. So I do remember seeing that you had met Kobe Bryant, right?
Yes,
Rest in
I
peace,
did.
obviously, GOAT, legend, and we were all heartbroken at the beginning of 2020. Did you pick up anything that, or, some type of lesson while you were around him? Like, how was he in person?
He's a very chill, laid back guy. He was, super easy to talk to. And yeah, that was a very significant moment in my life just because, again, I mentioned that I had a lot of confidence and self-doubt issues. And so, when he reached out to me because he wanted me to train his daughter, I was obviously not expecting that. I didn't think one of the greatest of all time was going to reach out to me.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, when he did that, it was definitely a confidence booster. And then when he reached out a second time for me to come out and work with his entire team, the Mambas, again, that was just reassurance that, he believes in my work and he trusts me to work with his daughter, his team. And, at the time, I had so much self-doubt and no confidence within myself that I was just like, why is he choosing me? Like, he can get anybody he wants. Like, he has access to anybody. And I was always just like, I tell this story to everybody that, like, in my own head, I was just putting myself down all the time. Like, I was like, why is Kobe picking me, this 5-foot Asian girl that didn't play college ball, grew up in a surfer town in Santa Cruz, California, was a minority, and then moved to a tiny island in Hawaii that's not known for basketball. Like, it doesn't look on paper like I would qualify for this, high profiled guy in basketball. Like, that's what was going on in my mind. And so when I finally had the chance to ask him, like, why did you decide to pick me? Like, how did you find me, basically? He told me, though, I noticed actually that he was following me for quite some time on Instagram. And I was always wondering, like, hey, why is Kobe Bryant following me? Because he has less than 100 followers, and I was just on his thing. So I was like, okay, he's following me for whatever reason. So when I finally got the chance to ask him, though, he first said that I popped up on his search page because I was dribbling 2 basketballs on the beach or whatever. And, he thought that was pretty phenomenal. And
Yeah.
so once he, I think, started following me, though, he said that he was really impressed with the drills that I was using with the kids, that he really liked them because they were fundamental. He can tell that like I put a lot of, thought into it. They were, creative and
Yeah.
unique. And so, just hearing him say that, it made me feel better. And it wasn't until, again, when he passed away, it was another emotional event for me, because like I said, whenever you have these really strong, impactful, emotional experiences where you're experiencing these emotions that you typically don't encounter, and it's almost like you don't have control over it too, because it's just happening.
Yeah.
Right. And so again, that was another moment for me. So when these moments happen, I realize that this is a good time to reflect on it. And when you do, you learn so much about yourself, and it just helps you grow, like you mentioned earlier. And so with that reflection, I realized that I need to be confident within myself. And because Kobe, believed in me and my program. And although I kind of always knew what I wanted to do, him passing made me realize that no, like I need to do this. Like he believed in me, and he knew what I was doing was for a good cause. And so it's like, I need to just believe in myself, really. Like,
and that's so awesome too. I mean, I obviously so I'm not gonna front like I'm not the biggest Kobe fan, because I wasn't a Kobe fan. I recognize his greatness, and my family grew up as a Michael Jordan family, so automatically when the comparison became between Kobe and Michael Jordan, obviously I'm like, nah, no one can replace Michael Jordan. But it wasn't until like the past couple of years, because I have a best friend, his name is Chris. He's a big Kobe fan. I got a hold of his book, Mamba Mentality. And when I read that, just for my own self-growth and what, I'm like, man, dude, this guy is really the greatest of all time. Just the mindset and just how intricate his mind works was just amazing to read. And I think his belief in you, obviously, it's not like he was picking you out of just thin air. No, he picks you for a reason. He calculated it and he measured it. He picked you for a reason. His belief wasn't placed there for no reason. So the fact that he believes in you, I mean, I think it says a lot about your work and the amount of work that you're doing. And I'm truly inspired just to be on this conversation with you and see your progress, through social media and Instagram. So
yeah, thank you. I mean, when you look at his work, like he did so much he did so much more than basketball. Like he was an entrepreneur in so many different levels, in business with the tech world, and then, but just also with youth development, also with his podcast, with his books. I feel as though, again, he was in the same direction as what I am trying to do, of just inspiring the youth, encouraging people to understand their emotions, how to navigate through it. And that's really what his podcast and his books are about. And they're for kids though too, because at least for me, like I feel like it's important for everybody to understand their emotions and how to navigate through them, but especially for youth, because it's easier to bring knowledge to younger people because they're not so conditioned and have these they don't have these belief systems in habit yet. And so when you present them any new information, whether it be, again, just emotions, or even teaching them a new skill or how to move, like it's easier for them to comprehend it and apply it, just because, again, they don't have these X amount of years of doing these same habits over and over again.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, hey, so thank you so much for being part of this conversation. I think we've definitely, unpacked some things, and I hope it does help some people out there. So we're going to move on to the last portion, which essentially is just the lightning round. I'm just going to ask a series of questions, and like the first answer that pops in your mind, share it, okay?
Okay, I'll do my best to be lightning fast. Okay.
I keep saying that this is the lightning round, but when I keep reviewing back to my past conversations, like it takes quite a while. So I'm trying to do my best to shorten it up.
Okay.
So what's one thing you took for granted during all of this, during COVID?
One thing I took for granted. I guess the gym. The
The gym?
gym.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll take that. What was the first thing that you did when the restrictions, start to loosen up?
Sleep in. Oh wait, loosen up. Wait,
Yeah,
sorry, loosen up.
loosen up, yeah.
I don't know. I've been doing the same thing. I don't know. I've been doing the same thing, like
Sounds good.
meditate, swim, go for like a run, and
Yeah.
figure out how to better my, myself and my business. It's just kind of been on repeat.
If you were to go through the quarantine again, how would you prepare for it?
How would you prepare for it? I don't. I don't know. I feel like it's been going pretty well. So I don't like. You can't prepare for some like that. It's like I don't know.
No toilet paper?
Uh, I feel like you deal with the situation when it comes, and again, you make the best of it. So I don't know. I wouldn't prepare for it because I would be where I need to be when it happens.
That's,
It's
that's
supposed to
good.
happen that way, so
One word you would describe the coronavirus and the pandemic.
One word. Geez, I don't know. Life.
Life. Now for the lighter questions. If you were to be stranded on the island, what's one thing you would take with you?
One thing I would take with me.
Hmm. Dang, I need better
Mm,
questions, yo.
I know. I mean, like water is essential, so I'd want water. But for like my sanity, I'd like a journal.
Perfect. Nice, nice. Um, Greatest player of all time for you?
mm, I don't have to go with Kobe,
Nice.
just because, like, again, just everything he's done, and both on and off the court. And my own experience with him, I gotta choose Kobe. Although, Jordan, he did great things too, and one more, but
Yeah.
eh.
Who's winning the chip this year?
I have no idea. I haven't really like tuned in. I don't know. It's like so this year.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
I mean, yeah.
But if you had
I
to
don't
choose
even
one
know.
team, who would you choose?
Um, I don't know, honestly. I can't make that decision right now.
Okay. All right. So then, favorite go-to spot in Hawaii as far as like eating?
It depends what you want. Like, I'm a vegan now, so I don't know if that would pertain to most of your listeners
That's all
here.
good.
Um, favorite place to eat. Well, like if you want, I don't know, like local food and just good grinds.
Uh,
Side Street Inn is always good.
okay.
Um,
How about yours?
yeah, there's so many different like types of food, or like if you want poke, like there's just so many different
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
places you can get food.
Okay. How about a vegan spot?
That's a good question. I like going to. Ooh, there's a few good ones. Well, I like going to this like health bar called like Liahi Health. They have like these vegan tacos and smoothies and
Mm,
stuff.
that sounds
Yeah.
good. I have a couple friends that are vegan too, that live that lifestyle, so I think they'd like it too.
Hmm.
So last but not least, this is the last question. Obviously, I call myself the lender in sneakers, and I'm hoping that you can answer this since you do have that basketball background. Like, what is your favorite sneaker or your favorite holy grail sneaker that you have that you'd like to?
uh, um, So I'm not like a big sneakerhead though. Like I have shoes, but I don't know the names of them. I always ball, but I always play basketball in like Kyrie's. Kyrie's are
Kyrie's?
always I don't know, like whatever version he comes out with, they always are comfortable on my feet.
Yeah.
I think it's the fours they have.
No worries. I think actually my buddy of mine who also plays basketball, he said like the Kyries are probably the most sought out basketball shoe to play in, just because of
Mm,
how comfortable they feel. So I can't
yeah.
knock
I
it.
mean, everyone has different feet,
Yeah,
so that's just what works for me. Yeah.
yeah, they look pretty dope too. So yeah. Well, Coach Taki, thank you so much for your time today. Sorry that lightning round wasn't too lightning.
Nah.
Well, my question's there. Where can people find you as far as social media?
Oh, yeah. So on Instagram, Taki.fit. And there you can also, again, our website's there where you can, if you want to do our Zoom trainings, that's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You can click the book now button there. Our website's also TakiFit.com, where if you want to register for a class or in Hawaii, right, you can sign up for our classes there. We also have our apparel online, TakiFit.com/shop. Facebook, TakiFit. And yeah, that's pretty much where you guys can get a hold of me. If you've got any questions or inquiries, all my contact information's there.
So thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Keeping Sane Saturdays, where we share through our experience and our conversation on how you can maintain your sanity and maintain your peace. And we'll see you on the next one. Take care.
All right. Thanks for having me.